If killing one person could save five, would you do it? What if it was a criminal? This is the logic Light Yagami lives by. From the start, he's surrounded by ideas of justice, God, and order. He sees this injustice, but there's nothing he can do about it. Until there is. The Death Note doesn't just change Light's beliefs, but it allows him to put his plans into action. Light is a top student, son of a chief policeman, but there's an empty look in his eyes. Light reads a passage about following God's teachings. We'd normally think it's a god of any religion, but the only god depicted in the story is the god of death. This shows the story's dark view of crime, morality, and the world. We see a broadcast talking about all the crimes in the local area. Light talks about day in and day out, the same news is on a permanent repeat. As the son of a chief policeman, he wants to enact justice, and he's sick of the cycle of crime, and he wants to do something about it. The notebook gives him a way to act on these ideas that have been building inside of him. Years of constant crime reports shaped how he viewed the world. Light says, that's pretty lame. First he doesn't believe it, and calls whoever wrote the death note twisted. He then asks, would me writing and naming here make me a murderer? He doesn't believe it's real, but wants to test it on a terrorist in the news, as he thinks about it more and more. He is in even more disbelief than before and tries to call it a coincidence. He needs to test it one more time and make sure that it's a criminal. Later we see a bully at school, and the way he frames the situation is completely different. He considers killing him and then asks if anyone would even care if anyone like him disappeared. As he walks around, he says he wondered if he'd be doing society a favor by doing something like this. This shows how he's completely changed his perspective on what makes someone morally right and morally wrong. Before he'd trust society and policemen, but now that he has the option to, he thinks he can do it all by himself, and he thinks he can choose who's right and who's wrong. He wants to test it out one more time just to make sure. As he sees a woman getting harassed, he tries to kill one of the people who's harassing her and makes them drive in front of a truck. He has the power to influence the world as he sees fit, because now he confirms that it was he who did all of these murders. On the walk home, he says, I killed them. Those were human lives. Who am I to pass judgment? And then his perspective slowly shifts, and he says, but the world is rotten, and someone has to do something about it. If I don't, who will? The question stops being about who can do this, but why not me? There's no one else. I'm the only one who can. And this shows, as we see before, the cycle of criminals and the cycle of injustice that he sees in this world because of his father being a policeman. We see that he wants to put a change to this, but in the most extreme way possible with the tools he's been given. With the Death Note, he believes he can change the world for the better and give himself power in this new world. But in order to create a new world, he has to get rid of the old things in life. Light has his first interaction with the Shinigami Ryuk, who's the owner of the Death Note. And as Ryuk introduces himself, Light isn't surprised. He recognizes him immediately as a Shinigami, the god of death, and says he's been waiting for him. He says he's already confirmed the notebook is real and sees its power, only making him more confident in what he's going to do, because he knows it's real and he knows that his actions will cause better for the world. Ryuk is surprised by how many names Light has written. People normally write just a few names and leave it there, because they're too scared to do anything with it. But Light says he's fully prepared himself. He knows the consequences, and he expected the notebook to be taken back. He's expected his soul to be taken too now that Ryuk came for the book again. But then Ryuk explains he won't guide Light. He won't judge him, he's just here to observe what'll happen. He just wants something to be interested in, because he's bored. And Light accepts this without hesitation, and asks Ryuk, why was I chosen? And Ryuk says, he wasn't chosen. There's nothing than dumb luck. He just threw it down somewhere and he was the only one that picked it up. Ryuk just dropped the notebook because he was bored, and Light said he's using the notebook for the same reason. He's just bored and wants to do something, because as a top student with that bland look behind his eyes, he didn't really care about anything, he was just bored going through life. But this gave him meaning. This allowed him to take control, power, and be the god of the new world. If he could do this, he'd never be forgotten, and he'd be truly eternal. This matters because Light isn't acting under divine command, he isn't fulfilling a prophecy. No one chose him, he chose himself. And as he gets that death note, and as he uses it every time, it's no one but him. Ryuk's just observing. Light doesn't panic, Light doesn't regret it, he just keeps taking action. He listens to people talk about the deaths that he has. Some are afraid, but some are grateful. It becomes a daily habit of his to get rid of crime, and more people start to praise him for what he's doing. This is where the language changes. He no longer asks, am I a murderer? He starts asking who deserves to die. Light calls it justice, but who decides what justice is and what's morally right and what's wrong? Is it the laws created by people? Is that right? What if you're falsely accused and on death row? Is that right? Staying in control became Light's goal. Slowly but surely, the goal became getting control and making sure Light was right. Light doesn't act out of justice anymore. Now staying pure is the goal. All these people are challenging Light directly, and Light doesn't consider morality. He sees them as threats and a challenge to his authority. Every move he makes towards L and all of his people to kill them is just to make sure that he stays in power. He still kills, but now has to worry about getting caught and proving his innocence. And as he is pushed to outsmart L, but that's a topic for another video. He kills the innocent if he has to, because he needs to get rid of anything that gets in the way of his righteous goals. Because even killing one very innocent person with very good morality is worth it if he gets to stay alive in order to enact justice on everyone else. He no longer debates about morality. He just has the schedule that he needs to stick to and make sure that anyone in his way gets out of the way and allows him to do what he does best. It's not about the goals, but him and his ego and what he has to fulfill. In his eyes, he can do no wrong because he's doing everything for this new world. Light intentionally gives up ownership of the Death Note, and when ownership transfers, his memories fully disappear. This is similar to another video made about Meruem, which is in the video description below if you'd like to see that. As he regains memory, he's genuinely scared, confused, and has no idea why he's being imprisoned by L. His demeanor completely shifts because he has nothing to hide. He reacts like a normal person would, and fully denies being Kira. And Kira begins killing again because ownership of the Death Note goes to someone else. And this clears Light. But L isn't fully convinced. He handcuffs both of them together for constant supervision to make sure that Light can't do anything. Both hate it, but it allows Light to grow closer to L, because he isn't Kira and he has nothing to hide. During this time, Light behaves fully differently. He refuses to emotionally manipulate Misa, he treats her with genuine concern, and his moral boundaries are clearly visible now. L begins to suspect someone else, that Kira's consciousness can be transferred to other people, and that it was Light, but it got transferred to someone else. And for the first time, L feels like he might just be wrong about this one. This almost breaks him and brings him into depression, but Light snaps him out of it and says we need to find out who Kira is. Light fully commits to finding Kira. He's a hard worker, he takes risks, and he just wants Kira caught. He just wants what's morally right to be done. And this is interesting because for a moment he seems like a genuinely good person and someone who's completely different. But as Light watches Kira's murders, he recognizes the logic. He has similar ideals and says if he had this power he would be doing similar things, which shows that maybe he's thought about this before with all of the news we've seen from the start of the story. And that maybe they're not so different after all, and the power didn't change him, but just the fact that he could enact them. This shows how Light wasn't changed by the Death Note, but enabled him. As he is corrupted and he dies on the staircase, he doesn't go to heaven for being good, but he doesn't go to hell for being bad, but he's stuck in purgatory, somewhere in the middle. This was never a story about power corrupting a good person. It was about the ends justifying the means. Light wasn't a hero who fell. Before the notebook, he already believed the world was rotten. He already believed criminals were the problem. The Death Note didn't put those ideas in his head. It just removed the consequences and gave him the power to do what he needed to do. Light would kill 1 to save 5. Light would kill 100 to save 1,000. And eventually, he would kill anyone who got in his way. By the end of the story, his character is bent to someone who doesn't care about morality, but the power of the Death Note that ties to him and his power. And that's what Death Note leaves us with. Not a question about justice, but a question about authority. Who gets to decide who deserves to live? And if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you check out another video on the channel, and I hope to see you another time. Thank you so much for watching.